For the first 30 seconds of this video, imagine discovering that everything you believed about Sonic the Hedgehog was wrong. Imagine realizing that the blue blur you trusted since childhood might secretly be the most dangerous character in the entire Sega universe. Imagine uncovering hidden clues, unsettling game design choices, and disturbing lore details that suggest Sonic was never the pure hero you thought he was. Because in this video we will explore a terrifying retro theory, analyze classic Sonic games in a completely new way, expose uncomfortable questions about speed, destruction, and control, and reveal why this theory has haunted fans for decades and will absolutely change how you see Sonic forever if you watch until the very end. From the very beginning, Sonic the Hedgehog was presented as a symbol of freedom, speed, and rebellion against the evil Dr. Robotnik. Yet when you slow down and actually look at the details hidden inside the classic games, an entirely different picture starts to emerge, one where Sonic's actions leave chaos behind. Environments are destroyed in his wake, and the world seems permanently damaged after he passes through it, raising the unsettling question of whether Sonic is truly saving anyone or simply enjoying the destruction he causes while smiling confidently at the screen. One of the most disturbing elements supporting this theory is how Sonic interacts with the environment, because while Robotnik is clearly portrayed as the villain who industrializes nature, Sonic's solution is not restoration or balance, but pure acceleration and impact. Smashing through landscapes, collapsing ancient ruins, flooding zones, igniting chemical plants, and leaving broken machinery and shattered terrain behind him, all while upbeat music distracts the player from noticing the long-term consequences of Sonic's relentless momentum. As players, we are conditioned to celebrate speed, to move as fast as possible, to destroy everything in our path, and to never stop running. Which leads to a chilling realization that Sonic might not just be a character but a force of nature that cannot be reasoned with, cannot slow down, and cannot be held accountable, because the faster you go, the more the game rewards you, reinforcing behavior that mirrors unchecked power rather than heroic responsibility. The trapped animals inside Robotnik's machines are often cited as proof of Sonic's heroism. Yet this theory asks a darker question: why are there animals trapped everywhere Sonic goes? And why does Robotnik seem to always be one step ahead, building factories in places Sonic has already destabilized, as if Sonic's destructive presence creates the perfect conditions for Robotnik to exploit, turning Sonic into the accidental architect of the very evil he claims to fight. Even Sonic's personality adds fuel to this unsettling interpretation, because, unlike other classic heroes who show concern, doubt, or reflection, Sonic is almost always confident, impatient, and dismissive of consequences, tapping his foot when you stop moving as if the world itself exists only to be consumed by his speed. A subtle but powerful visual cue that suggests Sonic does not care about the damage left behind as long as he keeps moving forward. The level design of classic Sonic games also plays a key role in this theory, since many zones feel less like places meant to be saved and more like obstacle courses designed purely for destruction, filled with collapsing platforms, explosive hazards, and abandoned ruins that imply these worlds have already suffered repeated cycles of chaos, possibly caused by Sonic himself across multiple timelines, turning him into a recurring disaster rather than a one-time savior. When you consider Sonic's super forms, the theory becomes even more unsettling, because Super Sonic is essentially an unstoppable being fueled by chaos, energy, invincible, untouchable, and capable of obliterating anything in his path. Yet there is no moral check, no visible limit, and no indication that Sonic understands or respects the power he wields, making Super Sonic feel less like a hero-esque transformation and more like a warning of what happens when absolute speed meets absolute freedom. The Chaos Emeralds themselves add another layer of horror to this idea, since they are ancient, powerful artifacts tied to balance and energy. Yet Sonic collects and uses them casually, often without understanding their origins or consequences, as if the universe has entrusted its most dangerous tools to someone who treats them like collectibles, reinforcing the idea that Sonic is not chosen because he is good, but because he is fast enough to seize power before anyone else can. Some fans even point out that Robotnik might see himself as the only one capable of controlling Sonic-esque chaos, industrializing the world not purely out of evil but out of fear, attempting to impose order on a reality constantly torn apart by Sonic's uncontrolled speed, which flips the traditional narrative and turns Robotnik into a desperate authoritarian, trying to contain an unstoppable force, rather than a simple cartoon villain. What makes this retro theory so terrifying is not that Sonic suddenly becomes evil in a dramatic twist, but that nothing changes at all, because the games remain exactly the same, the music stays cheerful, the colors stay bright, and the gameplay stays fun, yet the meaning underneath shifts, completely transforming Sonic from a hero into a symbol of unchecked power, reckless freedom and destruction, disguised as entertainment. The fact that millions of players never questioned this as children makes the theory even more unsettling, because it suggests the game subtly trained us to associate speed with goodness, destruction with progress, and consequences with boredom, creating a mindset where stopping to think is punished and moving faster is always rewarded. A lesson that feels disturbingly relevant even outside the world of video games. As you revisit classic Sonic games with this perspective, small details begin to feel intentional rather than accidental. The empty backgrounds, the lack of visible communities, the absence of rebuilding after Robotnik's defeat, and the endless cycle of new zones suffering similar fates, all pointing toward a universe trapped in a loop of destruction driven by Sonic's presence rather than saved by it. By the end of this theory, Sonic is no longer just a mascot or a hero, but a question, a symbol of what happens when power goes unquestioned, when speed replaces wisdom, and when a smiling face distracts us from the damage left behind, making this one of the most disturbing and fascinating reinterpretations of a classic video game character ever created. If this theory changed the way you see Sonic forever, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment with your thoughts and theories, and share this video with other fans so they can experience this terrifying retro perspective too. Because sometimes the scariest villains are the ones we trusted the most.